Howdy folks, Little Johnny, and tasting day on the brewventure breakfast ale. I'm a bit happy. This is the first beer back on tap on the keg fridge after the last one died. This fella's on, so let's have a quick look here. We'll run back over what we did with this one. Now, this was one I did, I said brewventure, so I could have playing around a little bit of unusual stuff. And this was the one I did with 2 packs of muesli that I had sitting around the house and play around with. So look, I'll stick the brew day bit up to the link so you can get back and have a look at it. But this was done back on the 5th of July. So it was basically it was a sort of dark ale base with these 2 boxes of cereal. There was also some coffee beans thrown into the mash as well. With that was part of the breakfast feel. Hot with Columbus and Chinook, and there's also a bit of maple syrup and some golden syrup thrown into the mix as well during the boil. Nottingham rehydrated for the yeast. Original gravity was 1056, finished off at 1018, so it stayed pretty high, which was not entirely surprising for probably a lot of unfermentable sugars coming from the grain in the muesli more than anything. Was matched at 67, so I was aiming to leave a lot of body behind. I didn't want it dry. I said I've kegged. Most of it was only a 11-12 litre batch, and I primed the keg with just a little bit of light dry malt because at that stage the keg fridge wasn't ready. I had the fridge here, I hadn't got it back together, so it sat as it was. It's now been on the keg, on the gas now for about 3 weeks, I think. And it was bottled on the 21st of July, so it's so it's 3.5 weeks old. Yeah, so it's still fairly young. Actually, it's a bit younger than I thought it was. But anyway, so that's her there. She's fairly dark. It's not stout black. I want to get a little bit of decent light, behind it. It's quite red, and it's I can see through it, not real well, but I can see through it. So it's definitely not pushing into porter and stout territory. It's definitely in that dark ale sort of a range. And again, that was more I wanted to go. I didn't want to really push into that bigger and stronger end. So it's probably still not as carbon as I would like it. I could probably boost the gas up a little bit on the keg. Poured a little bit ahead, not a lot. It's dropped a bit. It smells like it looks. It's got the roasty notes you'd expect from the darker malts. It's a little bit of chocolate. It's rich. You can smell dark fruits coming through from the cereal, the sultanas and raisins and whatnot. Can't really detect coffee as such. There wasn't much coffee in there, so that doesn't surprise me that it's not not in the nose. I've had 2 glasses of this previously as it's been coming up to sort of getting ready, and each time it's done the same thing. The first initial mouthful, it's almost it's not medicinal, it's not syrupy, but it's sort of that sort of realm. It's sort of there. It's sort of between that and stringent. I'm not sure where it's coming from exactly, but it does fade. The prominence of that settles as you're drinking it. But it's still there. I'm not sure where it's exactly where that's coming from. Look, I would assume that it's coming from something within those mueslis. Not knowing exactly what each little individual bit was. Because it doesn't seem to be. That's not a yeasty or a that's not a phenolic, or not a yeast-driven or a fermentation type of flavour. It definitely seems to be an ingredient. It's almost like that sort of feel you get from fake cherries, and that sort of tinned sort of fruits, where it's thinning the body. I mean, it could be a fermentation issue, but I pitched a full pack of yeast of Nottingham, onto it, and given the gravity, the 1017, it should have a lot more body than what it's displaying. Now, the maple syrup and the golden maple syrup, and the maple syrup and the golden syrup that's in there, and there was some brewing sugar as well. So it's quite possible they're dragging the body out of it. And they've left that sort of note behind. It's a shame because it's sort of covering up the beer. Yeah, I don't know, I'm not really sure, but no. Whatever it is, it's sort of stopping the beer from, really, from being, a good beer. It's not, I mean, it's not terrible. Like I said, it was a play around, and it's, look, right now, as this beer stands in my hand, I'm gonna rate it as a failure. Simply because it's like, I've got other stouts here and porters that I'd much rather be drinking as opposed to that. It doesn't have a standout bad flavour. It's just, yeah, it's not quite right. And yeah, I'd have to go back and check. But I really think I've had similar sort of experiences, not the flavour, but that stripping of the body, previously when I've used Nottingham. Haven't used Nottingham a real lot, and I'm pretty sure off the top of my head, the first time I used it, I wasn't impressed with the end result. I'd have to go back through my notes and have a look. I might make a comment on that down the bottom. After I do some editing and get this up, I'll have a look. But going off the flavours and the beer that's under there, I think had I left out the 300 grams of the brewing sugar and potentially the maple syrup and the golden syrup, so it hadn't stripped that body out, I think this could be quite a decent beer. Now, all that said, there's probably a lot of people that would actually really enjoy this. It's almost coming across as you're drinking as a sour type of note. So I can see that there would be drinkers that would find that sort of that edge. Because it's almost coming across as as you're drinking, it's almost coming across as a tartness more so than astringency. It starts off like a sort of an astringency. It's not a puckering astringency, that's what I'm saying. It's not a. It doesn't fit into one of those categories of your standard sort of wrong flavours. I really wanted to describe it as tart tinned cherries. That edgy bit of flavour you get from those cheap, nasty, bloody cherries. And there are cherries there's berries and cherries in one of the packs of the cereals, of the muesli. So, I mean, it is within the realms of possibility that that's what's causing the flavour. That there's some sort of whatever it is that they've done within the beer that's causing that. Because I have had similar effect. I can pick up very slight tinges of the same sort of thing in other beers where I've used cherries, fresh cherries. So it's possible that is connected. And so if you're not really looking hard at picking things wrong with it, it goes down. It goes down quite alright. But as I said, I've got 3 other stouts in the fridge at the moment, and I'd rather drink any one of those before this. So like I said, from that point, this exact beer is a failure. And I'm not too fussed about that. It was, we're completely experimental. Didn't know what was going to happen. The beer's finished up in the ballpark of what I was looking for. So from my point of view, from looking at the recipe, the creation of the recipe that went with the beer, I'm happy with that. Just the final result's just a little bit disappointing. But this probably was never going to be, wasn't a beer I was ever going to do again. I wasn't going to probably be able to recreate the mueslis They're sort of a specialty muesli that aren't necessarily always available locally. So it wasn't like I was going to go out and brew this beer again on a regular basis. It was just purely, yeah, something a little bit different. So the main thing that I'm getting is that, you know, as far as the brew ventures go, and playing around with different things and being a little bit outside the, you know, working outside the box, you know, go for it. If you're not dependent on every batch of beer to keep yourself in beer and supply, then you've got room to go, okay, well, maybe I'm going to lose a batch because it's not that great. Or you're happy to have the beers that, you know, maybe aren't as good as some of the others. Then play around with what you're doing. So I did this, isn't it? I said this is probably This is probably a better stout than most guys are knocking out with kits. Sorry if that offends anybody who thinks they make a fantastic kit stout. And I've made some decent kit stouts. But overall, that's probably as good as, you know, what most guys are knocking out with kits. And it's definitely better than what some guys are knocking out. But play around with your brews. The corn beer I did as part of the brew ventures, which I'm going to pull out shortly and have another crack on. I might even wait till tomorrow now. But it's come out really well from the one tasting bottle I've done. And this is what we do as brewers. We're playing around, we're trying different things, putting different combinations together and see what we come up with. This is what keeps beer evolving. So if you are looking at playing around and you've got the time and you've got the, you know, room to do it within your brewing process, have a go. Look at something a little bit different. I'm getting it right now. I mean, I've seen, and I know a lot of guys have done it. They've done beers with wheat bix. I think it's something I'm going to have a crack at. I'm going to do a variation. Looking to do a variation of a wheat beer for this summer. Instead of using wheat, I'm going to try the wheat bix, something different, and see how that goes. So, yeah, if you don't want one, play around. If you don't want it, you know, if you're just knocking out, you're happy knocking out your normal stuff, go for it. Yeah, no one's going to give you a hard time for that. But anyway, that's me. I'm done. As you can see, nearly finished. So for a beer that I'm saying it isn't particularly great, you know, I managed to get through it reasonably well. And Christ knows, I'd rather be drinking that than fucking Great Northern. So, as always, if you've got any questions or comments, stick them down the bottom. If you haven't subscribed to Little John, hit the button down there in the corner. Come along for the ride. You know. Let's have a chat. Let's not have a chat, whatever. But either way, Little John, I'm done for the day. So, till I see you again and we brewing beer, we drinking beer, or we talking beer. Brewing beer, whatever it is we're doing, it's going to be about beer. Mostly. Till then, good brewing.